Alright guys, so I went ahead and I got my strut off here and I found out what the problem is, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you guys what the problem is. It's my fault. Um, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you exactly what the problem is just to save anyone future headaches or anything like that. But it's my fault. And last time when I took my strut off, I didn't completely disassemble it. I just kind of took it off and gave it a visual once over. And from what I could tell, it seemed like the problem was in the bearings of the strut mount, which is here. This is the old one, this is the new one. But looking down inside of here, I cleaned it up a bit. It doesn't look that bad, actually. The bearings are fine, and when I rotate them, it's actually not grinding there. Gave it a little bit more of a visual inspection, and if you look closely, you will see this is the new part. You can see the outside of this, the bushing here, how it's nice and rounded and looks good. Look at this puppy. Is that fucked up or what? It's ground to shit. It's got a rough edge here. It's all messed up. So right there, it kind of let me know, okay, it's not the bearings on the inside. Something's going on the back end here. So I went over and started inspecting my parts and pieces. And the spring seat top part here is all ground to shit too. So that strut mount was incorrectly seated onto this. And the reason why I was incorrectly seated on that is because my dumbass self, this bushing spacer, is supposed to go on top of that. Don't ask me why. I had it down here. And then I put this top hat on, and then the strut mount with the bushing was sitting directly on top of this, and that's where my grinding noise was. And this part is actually pretty rough and screwed up right now, but I think once I put the bushing on, I'll be okay. We'll see. I may just have to order a new one of these as well, because the top of this is, it's not ruined, but I think it'll be okay once this is back on top, because this is the proper seating, because this actually sits on the inner center surface of the bushing and keeps it from making full contact like it was, and hence my grinding noise. So I don't know if it was in haste or just wasn't sure what the hell I was doing, or I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. And to verify that, I went on to Subaru Parts online and was just checking the diagram here, and it shows exactly how it's supposed to be assembled. And let me see here, because I just lost it. There we go. Shows you exactly how it's supposed to be assembled. So you got your boot right here to keep the dust out, your dust boot. There's your bolt. There is your strut mount, and then right underneath your strut mount, you can see right here, is that washer. I had the washer here underneath of this and going down on top of the dampener on that one side. And I'm hoping to God I didn't do it on the left side as well. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention when I was putting that one back together that day. I don't know. And maybe if I had given in to my OCD tendencies a little bit, I would have gone back and disassembled the whole thing. But I'm just so busy driving back and forth to work and stuff that, I don't know, I didn't. And I wish I did now. But it's not that big of a deal. It didn't cause any major damage. And this was $60 to replace, and it's a lesson learned. This is the RCE instructions for the installation, and it has all of your torquing specs. So the top nut and torque to 41, that's that bolt that goes on the dampener. Then when you're mounting the struts, the strut mount to the chassis, you want to use 18 foot-pounds of torque. The lower clevis bolts, the two big bolts, the high and low bolts, which are these puppies right here. Your high and low bolts that go onto the clevis knuckle right here. When you mount it back up into the strut, this slides over top of that. And then you have your top bolts there, your clevis bolts. those are 129 foot-pounds of torque. So those go on pretty tight, and then your brake line, you just torque that to pretty much a snug fit. Doesn't have to be that tight, but all your torque specs are here for torquing down your bolts when you're putting it back together. But yeah, proper order of assembly. Doesn't matter what the torque specs are, you put it together wrong, you're going to end up with what you see right here. That's how it's supposed to look, and this is what I got. Ground to shit, because the little bushing that's supposed to go up in there wasn't in place. It's supposed to sit on top of this, and I don't know what the hell I was thinking. It was hot as shit that day, I know that much, when I was putting it back together. Maybe I was just in a rush to get out of the heat. But this is supposed to sit like that, and that allows for free spinning of the bushing. Nice and smooth, actually. That's how this should have been. And it's still smooth action in the bushing. There's a little bit of grinding on them, so maybe the bushings are kind of bad on the inside. It's not as smooth as it should be. But this would have kept the outer edge from sitting on top of that, the spring seat. That's how it should have been. So I think I got the problem solved. I'm going to go ahead and get this side put back together, and I'm going to let my OCD take over, and I'm going to check the other one to make sure it's properly assembled, and hopefully I just had a brain fart on this one and not the other side. So I will conclude with part 3 in a little bit more work to do tonight, since I'm going to check the other one to make sure it's put together properly.